Earlier on the link, I spoke about this growing influence of BRICS with Mark Langevin. He's the director of the Brazil Initiative and research professor for the Elliott School of International Affairs at George Washington University. I started by asking how Brazil benefits from the BRICS grouping during its changing economic and political landscape.
Well, there's no question that Brazil has to lean into China right now for a couple of reasons. One, the only real source of economic growth right now is the export sector. And a lot of that, whether it's minerals, iron ore, soy, is going to China. The second reason is that Brazil needs to prepare for future growth, and that means energy security. That means that likely electricity demand might shoot up to 3 or 4% a year very quickly here in the next couple of years. And if they're going to incorporate more wind energy, solar energy, and so forth, they need the transmission infrastructure. And of course, State Grid from China is likely to provide the kinds of resources and technical capacity to carry that off in the next couple of years.
It sounds great on paper, but what about the limitations? What about the challenges?
Well, the limitations are there. Right now, we're seeing the government suggesting that economic growth is back. That's probably too optimistic. They're still stuck in the mud. The recent growth came out of some unleashing of some unemployment insurance funds that created some excess demand that we weren't expecting. But the real problems are like in wind energy, where the government just bought back, auctioned off contracts and have delayed and canceled auctions for new wind and solar energy during the past year. So we've got to get back to growth so that wind energy and all these sustainable economic activities can get back on track.
We've had numerous corruption scandals in Brazil. As you mentioned, the economy facing a deep recession. Is Brazil still the global powerhouse that it was in the region? And if it's not, can it have that status back again?
It is not what it used to be, in a sense. They've got to get back to the future. And the future is somewhere around 2004, 2005, after former President Lula carried out a pretty stiff fiscal adjustment in 2003 that prepared the way for a growth. But Brazil still has big problems. President Temer, who's in China right now at the BRICS summit, is likely to come home in the next couple of days to face new charges by the Attorney General for corruption. And that could paralyze Congress as they have to find out a way whether they want to work with him, whether there's a majority that can continue to work with him, and so forth. So they've got the corruption scandal. They've still got a lot of things to do in Congress to create the conditions for future growth.
And Mark, very quickly, with U.S. President Donald Trump's America First agenda, do you envision countries like Brazil and other countries in Latin America really leaning more on China than the United States?
Well, I think some, for their export profiles, like Brazil, with natural resource-based commodities, are going to lean into China with its still impressive growth. But I think more so they're going to look for different political formations like BRICS, BRICS Plus, or the G20, reactivate the G20, to participate more in global governance and open up the levers of finance and so forth. Right now, we're stuck in a way that, finance capital is just sitting on a lot of liquidity and not yet investing in productivity because of the risk-return factor. And we've got to get over that. Maybe the BRICS Plus is a way to do that with the new development bank.
We'll see. Mark Langevin, thank you so much, sir, for your insight.